All right. Yes. I have 6:31, so let's call this meeting to order. First on the agenda, we had last month's meeting minutes. I don't know if everybody read those or not, but glanced over them today. So. Next on the agenda is any visitors who would like to address the council.
That's low. That's why it was really short. Went down on one side.
All right, seeing if there's none, we'll move on. JPR is next up on the list. There you are. I know, I saw you.
Okay, so you all should have our latest monthly engineering report. Sent over last week. I'm just going to touch on some of the highlights, some follow-up from the prior work session. The Wertz Ditch Culvert Study. Finally, we got a price. It only took a dozen phone calls and a couple emails and stuff like that, but we got the updated quote from InSituForm. Let's see. The original quote, if you remember, was just to do North Elkhart Street. That was about $345,000. Updated pricing and adding in the Waterford Street culvert, total $770,000. And then with the non-construction costs, that being the design, engineering, permitting, and then construction, inspection, engineering as well. The total proposal is $840,214.46. And then after talking with the rep from InSituForm, that'll be at most 5 days worth of work, 3 days with maintenance of traffic, no road closure. Made sure that was something noted. And then
And that includes bypassing the water around the culvert while they're installed.
Yep. So there shouldn't be any flooding or any issue there. Let's see, what else did we talk about? Oh, timing. They said they're scheduling about 2.5 to 3 months out right now. But I know there's a lot of conversation that still needs to be had, decisions made with the county and your board as well. So, any questions there on that? I apologize. It seems like I send you guys information on Friday right before the work session. I have a whole month to get updated quotes from these vendors, and they send it to me at the 11th hour. So, I apologize for that.
Not your fault.
In addition, just going to skip down to the CCMG project update. So Michael from our office, he sent over the preliminary plans and cost estimate for the updated CCMG application. Did you guys have a chance to go through that and kind of just read through it, put on the list?
That's actually not on the Google Drive, I don't think.
Okay.
I know Alex emailed me those numbers today.
Okay.
We'll get that document on the Google Drive and both of those.
Okay. You want me to read through it still?
Sure.
Okay, so there's 7 streets planned for updates. Total estimate is $988,177.85. Again, the town would be on the hook for 20% of that. NDOT would be matching 80% of that. Roadways from I'm not sure if this is number 1 priority to number 7 priority, but I'll just read through it. North Elkhart Street from Sycamore to the town limits. South Elkhart Street from town limits to Harrison Street. Wabash Ave from Washington to Olive. High Street from Elkhart to Indiana. And I will pass this around. Independent Street from High Street to Lincoln. Railroad Street from Elkhart to Park. And Nelson's Parkway from Maple Lane to Sierra Lane. It says every cost estimate. And then the last item I just wanted to touch on is we're still moving forward with procurement of the UV disinfection system for the wastewater treatment plant project. We're working with HB Thompson on the purchase order for that. I don't think it's something else a little bit with Dan Vine. And then in the next 2 weeks, we want to have GME test out and take some soil samples out the site and geotech report. So there'll probably be a truck out there. I'd probably say next week, into next week. And then, yeah, just a brief schedule going through that. Planning on submitting permits in July. Like to get it out in August, so we can have a contractor ready to begin in the fall. So we're ready to, have it in action in spring of next year. Okay, anything else from me? Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Katie?
We've got our facilities that we talked about last month, just an update there. We've had communication with Baker Tilly. We're just looking at our storm costs from the past and then looking at our potential storm costs in the future to come up with what amount would be a fair good amount to make those storm fees, and then once we get that number, we'll divide it back in the number of houses and businesses in town. The state average storm fee is $5.30, so we're thinking we'll be somewhere in that range, but hopefully we'll have something more to provide to you next month. But any additional information you want on that, feel free to reach out. And then just an update on the Quilt Garden patio, that project should be starting soon. Another donation of $1,000 came in since our last meeting, so making progress there in the fundraising. And that's really all I have for this month.
Do you have a running total of what's been donated so far?
I can bring that tomorrow night. I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay. DLC pay apps.
Yeah, there's 2 pay apps this month, one for DLZ in the amount of $22,545, and our Yoder $106,958 and change. These are quite a bit less than previous ones. Activities have been slower. As you may have heard, there was a leak in the reaction basin that has been addressed. So there's been less other work until that was addressed. The leak is fixed and the concrete has cured. So they're continuing on with pressure testing and disinfection of the system with the hope that the plant will be operational and turned over to the town approximately the end of this month, but we'll have a better update tomorrow at our progress meeting. Then Alex is planning to, in the contract, we leave 2 months for the town to become comfortable with the plant before taking the existing one offline. Alex is estimating about a month. And so that would put us at the end of June before approximately when water from the new plant goes into the distribution system. So then they'll be able to take demo well number 2 in that building and finish up the site work. So we're getting close to the end, and we're still way ahead of the substantial completion date of September 3rd.
That's great news to hear.
Any questions for her? Okay. Randy, are you doing public works, or is there anything for public works, you know?
Not really. I mean, we're still alongside, Ari Yoder and them, we're doing testing back there. They reached the residual we wanted today, but then tomorrow that will get sent in and we'll see if that holds. And other than that, things are just kind of ticking along.
Well, and Aaron, Andrew, and her all received their
Yes, they
CDL,
did.
so that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's hard work.
They went Friday then over to the BNB and
Okay.
actually got them out. So
Good.
I think you guys are all done with cleanup for Maple Syrup Festival too, right?
yeah,
Mostly.
I found some more stuff today, so. And there's still, we still got a cord that's, we have no idea whose it is, so.
All right.
Well, before I introduce these 2 fine men over here, I would like for everybody to know and hear that later in the month of April, we had a reserve resign, Kenny Moles. And I would hopefully within the next few months kind of bring Kenny in, present him with a plaque. He had been with us for 9 years, so I think he needs to be recognized. This is something that I probably should have been doing for a long period of time when it came to bringing on new reserves, because there was a lot of chatter of, boy, you got a lot of new faces, and what the Maple Syrup Festival brought was the presence of some of the new people. With that being said, I would like to first start with Parker. Parker comes from a line of law enforcement where his uncle Dave was with the police department for over 20 years with us. Parker has decided in his life journey that he wants to go into law enforcement, and what better place for us to have him to start here, so that we know with his youth of life and his desires of going into full-time someplace he may not be with us long. We're okay with that, as long as he kind of gets some education underneath his belt by being with us. And then we have Drew Irons. Drew comes from South Bend Memorial Police Department. Drew came to us about a month ago or so and inquired about the opportunities of being on the reserve unit. South Bend Memorial Hospital allows their people to serve other communities. So when we heard that Drew is certified to the state of Indiana, so he brings a plus to us as well. And I have no idea what God's plan is for Drew, whether he stays at South Bend or whether he moves on, or I don't know. We'll wait and see. We're just very lucky and blessed to have Drew, and these fine men were going to be kind of instructed. They're going to have to go through a 40-hour, or they went through the 40-hour pre-basic, but they are going to have to go through FTO process, which is field training. And once they complete the field training, then they'll go on schedule and start working the streets of Walker's for us. So Katie, with that being said, if you would present them, gentlemen, if you would stand up. Katie's gonna.
Raise your hands. I state your name.
I, Parker Finley,
I, Drew Irons,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States of America,
of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the laws of the United States of America,
and the laws of the state, the laws of the United States of America,
the State of Indiana,
the State of Indiana,
and the town of Wakarusa.
and the town of Wakarusa,
That I will honestly and faithfully
that I will honestly and faithfully
discharge the duties of my office
discharge the duties of an office
as Deputy Marshal of the town of Wakarusa
as Deputy Marshal of the town of Wakarusa
to the best of my ability, so help me God.
to the best of my ability, so help me God.
I've got a form for you to sign afterwards.
Thank you.
Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much.
Is that it? Okay, Katie, you wanna go over the bill operate transfer?
Sure, for the build, operate, transfer, there's two documents. The first is resolution 2026-3. And this is just adding another tool to the town of Wakarusa belt. It's approving us to use India Code 5-23, the BOT plan, for projects, whenever we see fit. The project we're looking at using this for is the pickleball courts and basketball courts. It'll, we're looking at building out at Memorial Park, the athletic complex. That's the first document. The second is a request for proposals and qualifications. This document would be approving, would be some Rob to put notice into the newspaper for construction companies to propose for this project. We've had interest already from at least 3 local companies, so that's encouraging that there's interest and just a positive thing, and that could really be in Wakarusa's favor. The time frame we're looking at for this project, we're trying to avoid baseball season and cross-country season, which both utilize that space as well. So the drainage that we're looking at doing, we're shooting for the month of July, once baseball's over and before cross-country starts. And then the build, we're hoping to happen as soon as cross-country is over, or right at the end, near the beginning of October, but before concrete prices go up with cold weather. So hopefully as soon as we can for that. So approving this at tomorrow night's meeting will help to keep us on track for that time frame. Any questions on either one of those documents?
So that resolution that I handed out, is a modification of the one that Pete Plummer presented last month. It's a bit more general than Pete's, but it's the same concept. I mean, the statute at 5-23-1-1 allows the town to use the build, operate, transfer statute, but you have to adopt the ordinance, or you have to adopt an ordinance or a resolution authorizing the town to use the build, operate, transfer statute. So in order to start that particular process, you have to have this resolution in place. And the resolution doesn't require the town to use this process at all. And it doesn't reference any specific projects either. It's just general authorization for the town to be able to utilize that procedure if the council desire to.
So anytime you would want to bid out a project, we still have that option in addition to this one. And then once we put notices out and contractors put in their proposals, I foresee us moving forward, but if we don't like what we receive, we can, start fresh and fill that bid out at that point if we wanted to.
Okay. Any other questions on build, operate, transfer?
I do not.
And we did have one other
Yes,
guest with
I'd
us.
say
Okay.
Phil just pointed it out too, so, Mr. Etzler from Adam Marsh.
Lily and Bill from Adam Marsh, they're gonna present the Safe Streets for All.
I'll start us off here. My name's Liliana Lomelli. I'm actually born and raised in Athens, Indiana, so I went to school here at Kewanee Community Schools. Very familiar with Wakarusa. I actually was a judge at the Maple Syrup Festival pageant just a few weeks ago, so it was very nice to be back in town. Like mentioned, I work for Avamarsh. I'm a business development specialist. Our name should be familiar. We're assisting with the downtown Linger Longer initiative. Our planning department is taking lead on that with the landscape architecture firm. But we're here to present the Safe Streets for All grant opportunity that coincides with that Linger Longer initiative and amplifies it for the safety of the town citizens and just a downtown safety plan. So I've had a series of meetings with Rob and Crystal, who's leading the Linger Longer initiative, as well as Katie, and we've actually met with Alex, even though he's away with surgery on leave. But we plan to meet again next week. But we're here to present the opportunity, give an overview, and then answer any questions or concerns. And I do believe Katie sent over a couple of materials. You guys would like to ask it.
Google Drive under my folder.
But I'm gonna give it to Bill Etzler to take it from here and give a kind of technical overview.
Good evening, Bill Etzler.
Is the remote up there?
Yes,
Want me to put this up
Sure.
on?
thank you.
Go ahead, I can catch up. Okay. So Safe Streets for All is a federal grant program that provides funding for communities to look at their roadway network, their sidewalk network, and to provide safe passage for pedestrians, bicyclists, and here in your community also buggies. And so the grant program is designed to provide a planning document, and in the case of Wakarusa, because St. Joe County did a overarching planning grant a few years ago, you can also apply for demonstration funds. So if we find a specific project that's short-term that could help improve accessibility, connectivity, parking, roadway safety, we could add that into the grant request. It's an 80-20 match. It's reimbursable like all federal programs. So you pay and then you get your money back through the reimbursement. We are working with 6 communities here in Indiana. We're working with about 12 communities in the state of Michigan on this. The grant applications are due May 26th. Our goal would be to help you with the grant application. There's no financial commitment at this point. The financial commitment would come once the community is awarded the grant, and that's when you need to put your 20% match aside so that the government's assured that you're going to be participating. 2 grant types. One is planning demonstration, the other is implementation. Because you don't have any specific projects, you're not eligible at this point for implementation. That would be something that would happen down the road. But like I said, primary thing is roadway safety for pedestrians, bicyclists, and then connectivity to get people off the streets and onto trails or pathways. So like I said, first phase is planning. And then if you are awarded that, then in the next phase of the program, you would go for implementation. About $1 billion will be available. Half of that is designated for rural communities, and about 30% of that number is for planning and demonstration grants. And the government is really looking at helping rural communities with this program. That's why state governments are not allowed into this program. It can only be counties, cities that are eligible for this grant. And again, it's safer people, safer vehicles, safer speeds, safer roads. And then there's a emergency response piece to this that connects emergency services to the 911 center through GIS strategies, so that when an accident does happen, that local 911s can know exactly where that accident is taking place. And then there's all the post-crash data assimilation that can be used to support future projects. So what the action plan requires is a commitment from community leadership, and then we go through the planning structure, through a committee and a task force. We do safety analysis and engage the community in looking at how we implement, pretty much like the Linger Longer process that you've just gone through. And then we come up with a strategy for the community to implement potential safety projects. And I won't go through all this, but these are some of the things that we utilize to do our analysis. We're looking at crash data, traffic counts. And then these are some of the things Phil, I heard you mention earlier about a segment of road that they're trying to make into a 3-lane section. Well, that's just what this program is all about, is how do you devise a plan to help alleviate that? And that may be something that we want to put in for a demonstration project, is just exactly that, to figure out a way that we can do a short-term test procedure to get people aware it's not a 3-lane roadway. And then we look at all sorts of different traffic calming techniques. We just had a meeting this afternoon in Walkerton. They're going to be participating in the program, and they've got a section of roadway that's got a reverse curve in it that people keep departing the roadway. And so that's going to be a demonstration project we look at for that community, is how do we make people aware that the curves are coming up and help eliminate those crashes that have been occurring there. And then we're always looking at ADA and pedestrian accessibility, school connectivity, connectivity to parks or other recreational areas. So those are all part of the planning process as well. And then, as I said, we've got the public engagement piece. Once the plan is starting to be pulled together, that we would be actively engaging the residents of the community to determine what the best methods are to address some of the problems. And as I said, there's $1 billion. The notice of funding was put out in March. The applications are due May 26th.
I may add in a word or two. As mentioned, we've met with Rob, Katie, and Alex to identify some areas of concerns or countermeasures that may work for the town, especially at this downtown corridor connecting 19 to 331. Some major concerns Rob has is the semi-truck traffic that runs through downtown, some other alternatives to pedestrian pathways, so connecting downtown to Memorial Park, creating a safe route also to the schools down here. And then the way we calculate how much we request through the plans is we look at the local mileage in town. I think we're looking at Walker's has about 13 miles of roads. So that would we'd be requesting an application or grant of about between 100 to 120,000. So that would be, like Bill mentioned, there's no financial commitment at the moment when we apply for the grant. However, if we're awarded, that would be kind of Q4 of this year when they announce those. And it would be a 20% match. Again, reimbursable grant.
And I would add one other thing. That's for planning. If we decide that there are demonstration projects, then we would have to add that cost into the grant application. And until we have a better handle on what we might look at for the demonstration projects, we would finalize the amount of the ask once we understand what the cost of that is. And we'll know that if you decide to move forward, we'll work with you doing all of this planning, and there's no cost to your community to do that. So we'll get the application pulled together, and once we get that done, which right now I would say probably 2+ weeks, we would get that information back to Rob so that he could share it with the council so that you would understand what projects are going to be put in and what that ultimate cost for, or what the ultimate request is for the planning grant.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys have any questions for him?
Good. You did a very good job of that.
Okay. Okay. Katie, you got anything else?
There is a 2025 results for the Humane Society, and then Google Drive this year reference. That's it.
Rocco, do you have anything? No.
I do not.
Phil?
No.
Brandon?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. Well, with that, we'll close the meeting. We'll see you all tomorrow night, same time, same place.
Thank you.
Wish you had.
Come on. It's soft. You always have a part of it.
Trust me.